Have you ever met someone polishing a slide deck at 2 in the morning? They aren't doing it because they need the cash. They're doing it because they're terrified of stopping. Because if they close that laptop, they have no idea who they actually are. We are conditioned from childhood to be useful. But no one warns you that this usefulness is leased on an installment plan. And you pay for it monthly, financed with your youth, your sleep, and your self-respect. Today, we're dismantling a lie that Wall Street and Madison Avenue spent 30 years perfecting. Early retirement is not about hoarding $5 million, just to buy a mansion in Greenwich, and post photos from a beach in Cabo. That is not your dream. That is a marketing campaign designed to turn freedom into a luxury product. True retirement is when you quietly reclaim 3 fundamental rights. First, the right to not make money just to please others. Second, the right to not consume just to prove your worth. And third, the right to not sell your sanity today to buy a hypothetical tomorrow. This has nothing to do with the size of your bank account. A tech executive making $300,000 a year, who is too terrified to quit, is still a slave. A freelancer making $30,000 who can walk away from anyone at any moment is already free. What we're chasing isn't financial independence. It is cognitive sovereignty, the state where you can no longer be drafted into the corporate war of anxiety. But why is it that the more money we make, the more trapped we feel? Why does the moment we say "I quit" seem to drift further away with every pay raise? Here's the truth. You aren't actually spending your money on products. You're paying ransom. You are paying a premium to heal the trauma caused by the act of earning that money in the first place. Think about your spending. Your director humiliates you in a meeting at 10 a.m., so you order a $70 DoorDash delivery at night, just to feel a spike of dopamine. You feel completely hollowed out by Friday, so you go on a luxury weekend getaway to prove to yourself that you're doing fine. You are treating your money like a topical anesthetic. You're constantly spending just to stop the bleeding. It's a closed loop. The more miserable you are, the more you spend to cope. The more you spend, the harder you have to work. The harder you work, the more miserable you become. It's like drinking seawater to quench your thirst. The system loves this. Corporate America packages consumption as self-care. They tell you that you deserve it to trick you into believing that spending is your reward. But there is no reward. Your luxury lifestyle is just an epidural, numbing you so you can tolerate a reality you should have left years ago. That's why people get richer, but feel poorer. Their income doubles, but so does their misery. And the ransom goes up. So, how do you break the cycle? It comes down to a precise mathematical equation. Retirement speed equals desire compression, times cash flow autonomy, times identity decoupling. Notice that this is a multiplication formula. If any of these variables is 0, your freedom is 0. First, desire compression. This is not about living in poverty. It's about reclaiming your pricing power. Why do you need that specific luxury badge? Because you want to buy envy. But envy is controlled by others, which means your freedom is priced by others. Vanity is the most expensive loan you'll ever take out, and the interest rate is your life. Second, cash flow autonomy. Forget the get-rich-quick side hustles. Focus on building anti-fragile income streams. Value that doesn't disappear if your boss has a bad day, and skills that don't reset to 0 if the platform you use changes its algorithm. Third, identity decoupling. This is the silent killer. Why do wealthy people refuse to retire? Because the moment they step away from the office, they don't know who they are. Their entire self-worth is outsourced to a W-2 pay stub. But if you lease your self-worth to a corporation, they become the landlord of your dignity, and they will raise the rent every single year. To pull these 3 levers, you must execute 7 rules. 1. Cut out identity-driven consumption. Stop buying things to impress people you don't even like. 2. Master the low-cost, high-dignity lifestyle. True wealth is the ability to find deep happiness without swiping a credit card. 3. Partition your money into 3 tiers: survival, escape, and sovereignty. Every dollar you put into your escape fund is not savings. It is a down payment on your ability to say, "I'm not doing this anymore." 4. Build a portable skill stack. Develop value that belongs to you, not to the company. They can lay you off, but they can't delete your brain. 5. Run a retirement test drive. Take 1 week off. Cut out all social media. Sit alone in a room. If you can't stand being alone with your own mind, retirement will not feel like freedom. It will feel like psychological unemployment. 6. Avoid the golden handcuffs. Don't let your lifestyle inflate with your salary. Do not trade a bigger safety net for a slightly larger mortgage. 7. Find your obsession before you quit. Freedom is only valuable if you have a destination. Otherwise, you're just escaping a prison to wander aimlessly in a desert. But let me give you a harsh truth that most gurus will never tell you. Not everyone is psychologically ready for freedom. I have seen people dream of retirement for a decade, only to fall into a deep depression 3 months after they quit. Why? Because they didn't actually want freedom. They wanted a more comfortable cage. A cage with softer bars, better food, and a more polite warden. Freedom is a mirror. It strips away the noise of busyness and forces you to look at the void inside yourself. If you have nothing but your job title, freedom will terrify you. So before you plan your escape, you need to cultivate a soul that is actually worth delivering. Otherwise, every cage you run from will simply morph into the next one. True retirement is not a single date on a calendar where you hand in your resignation. It is a slow compounding curve built by your daily choices. Every time you turn down a toxic, high-paying project, you retire a little bit. Every time you refuse to buy a status symbol to protect your ego, you buy back a piece of your future. A truly free person can still work, but their labor is driven by curiosity, not by the terror of starvation. They work because they want to, not because they are afraid of what happens if they don't. Most people sell their lives on an installment plan, one day at a time, until there's nothing left to sell. But the smart ones spend their youth buying themselves back, one choice at a time. Tonight, do one thing. Open a separate bank account. Label it the FU Fund. Deposit $50 into it. That $50 won't buy your freedom today, but it is the first payment on your ransom. And as that number grows, even the way you look at your boss will begin to change. The clock is ticking. Are you selling your life, or are you buying it back?